Coming to you live from your nation's capital in Washington, D.C. Looking forward for the fireworks tonight. Fireworks in a couple of minutes, though, when Curtis Ellis comes on, right? Always love hearing from Curtis Ellis from America First Policies. Why do we love America First Policies? Well, because it is the #1 political action committee in all of America. That single focus is to support President Trump's America First agenda. Now, if that's not enough, I don't know what is, right? Great organization. And this segment, guess who it's brought to you by? America First Policies. Now, we need to reform our immigration laws, and we need to enforce them. Now, if we don't have a border, guess what? We don't have a country. Congress needs to fix our broken immigration system. Immigration reform should be guided by these principles. 1, the immigration system should be geared toward increasing wages and opportunities for American citizens and legal residents. 2, it should stop awarding visas on the basis of extended family connections. 3, it should be a merit-based system. 4, aspiring immigrants who share our values, speak our language, and have the education and skills to contribute to our nation should go to the front of the line. And we must enforce the law. Immigration to the United States is a privilege, not a right. Now, call Congress now and tell them to keep our country intact and pass meaningful immigration reform. 202-224-3121. They'd love to get your phone call there. 202-224-3121. For more information, you can go to americafirstpolicies.org. That's americafirstpolicies.org. Ladies and gentlemen, this message has been paid for and authorized by America First Policies, Incorporated. Joining us now, Curtis Ellis. He's a senior policy advisor of America First Policies. He was also the chairman emeritus. Oh, I love saying that word. It sounds so important. Of the American Jobs Alliance, of which I am the executive director. He is also a former executive in the Department of Labor. He was on the Trump transition team, and he was an early person in the Trump for President campaign along with me. And the only downside he's got is he happens to be one of my best friends. Curtis Ellis, sorry about that. Great to have you with us.
Hey, it's great to be here. You know, listening to all of the things I've done and been and whatnot, it gave me another reason why we can't let the Democrats take control of Congress because, man, if they get their way and they get power, I'm going to be in an internment camp. They're going to separate me from my children.
They're going to look at your resume and they're going to be like, hey, this is the first guy that's got to go.
That's right. We're going to shoot him at dawn.
That's right. They'll put a black hoodie on you and that'll be the end of you. We'll find you floating in the East River somewhere, right?
Indeed.
You'll be like, who's that guy there floating? His hat's floating, right? Take a long walk off a short pier to your hat floats.
That's right, a long walk off a short pier.
That's basically going to be their mantra for Curtis Ellis. No question about it. Well, we got so much to talk about, but I cannot imagine for the life of me, and I've been on this for a couple days, is I'm shocked that you have Democratic candidates for president, serious candidates, calling for the abolition of vice, because if you get rid of vice, you want to get rid of the country because there's no enforcement then of the borders, so you have no borders. It's not open borders, it's no borders. Catch and release is open borders. Getting rid of ICE is no borders. You just don't have them. You might as well be just a mass of land, right?
Right.
I mean, what did they do? Cynthia Nixon, your home state of New York, right, running for governor on the Democratic side, she's challenging Andrew Cuomo in a primary, and, you know, she's about 35%. I mean, she has a shot in this thing.
Oh, yeah, she does.
She has a shot. The other day, she said that ICE is a terrorist organization.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where are the Democrats going with this, man?
They're going straight for the heart. They're going for emotional appeal here. You know, crying babies. It's all about the children. Always is. There's no serious answers as to what do you do to enforce the border? What do you do to enforce citizenship? So on the one level, what they're doing is they're going for power, and they're going for just the emotional appeal. Nobody likes to see crying babies. I mean, that's in our DNA. Nobody likes to hear what's your response when you hear a baby cry? You want to help it. I mean, that's That's why babies survive, because we have this instinct built into us. But where they're really going is the abolition of citizenship. The abolition, not just abolish ICE, abolish the United States of America. They're on a tear here. They're on this is the opportunity for the hard left, the far left, to achieve everything it's dreamed of since Karl Marx. And I'm not exaggerating here. Karl Marx talked about the state would wither away, countries would wither away, the end of nationhood, and you'd have the worldwide proletariat taking power, and you'd have global socialism. And I know it sounds crazy, but that's really within sight for these people. They see through free trade and globalization the ability to leapfrog over revolution in every country to the Trotskyite vision of revolution in the world. And interestingly, the Chinese Communist Party sees this as well. They're now presenting themselves as the global defenders of free trade and the global trading system. They're defending the World Trade Organization. They say the United States has dropped the ball, is, derelict in its duties to protect the global trading system, but we, Communist China, we will do that. Well, of course, they want to centralize power in Geneva or in these institutions, these transnational institutions, centralize power there, then they only have one place to take over the entire world. See, this is the founders of our country believed that centralized power was a danger. So they purposely set up the three branches of government. They tried to decentralize power into the states and decentralize power at the federal level into three distinct branches, because they knew that if you centralize power, put all the power in one place, boom, you're sunk. That becomes the tyrant. So what we've done through this post-World War II plan of international institutions and international institutions like the United Nations and the World Bank and the IMF and go on down the list. We've centralized power. We've put all the power in these international institutions where there are no checks and balances and there's actually no accountability. And this is why, and everybody's been indoctrinated. This is a good thing. This is a good thing. We are all global citizens. We're all players in the global economy. We are all. What's missing from this whole equation is the idea of nationhood. Well, so we've centralized power in these. We've placed power into these international organizations, and now China just has to take control of those, and then they've got control of the whole world. So now I sound like a crazy conspiracy person at 8:16 in the morning, but
look, Curtis,
getting back to the immigration,
right.
This fits into the left's vision, to the Democrats' vision of we really don't need borders, we really don't need nations. People should be able to go wherever they want, and as you say, it's an unholy alliance. Big business wants the cheap labor, Democrats want the votes, and the hard left wants to not just abolish ICE, they want to abolish the United States of America because we are a racist imperialist nation who stole, blah, 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 stole the land.
There you get to it. We're finally getting somewhere, Curtis, and I agree with what you said. We're finally getting somewhere because you have to look at this policy of getting rid of ICE and these protests, which, I get it. I get you don't want kids separated from their parents and the president fixed that. But, I also look at one city in the United States, just one, right? Not 50. Let's look at one, Chicago. So far in 2018, in the city of Chicago, Illinois, 65 children under the age, this was as of the weekend, 65 children under the age of 15 have been shot dead. 65 children shot dead under the age of 15. Half of those, Curtis, shot while in their home by stray bullets going through walls. Half of those, 15, shot in their bed. The other half playing a video game. Where's the outrage here? These children have been permanently separated from their parents because Democratic-controlled cities can't get crime under control, and 65 kids are shot dead under 15 by stray bullets in Chicago. Where's that march? Where's that protest? Nowhere to be found, is it? Can't find it. Doesn't exist. No one cares. Why? Because it serves no narrative purpose.
Exactly.
I mean, you look at what the Democrats are doing here, and it's a head scratcher to me, because if you're calling for the abolition of ICE, which is the one law enforcement organization that we have that deports people, basically then you get in the country illegally, whether you come in, cross over the border, or you overstay a visa. There's no consequence to that. You're in here forever. So you have no borders. You have no country. And so I think it is. You got the really progressives. They just want to eliminate the United States of America. For some reason, they just hate it. And you got the other half that wants votes. And you combine these two, and it's an unbelievable coming together of chaos, as far as I'm concerned.
Look, you can go down to Augusta, Virginia, Augusta Correctional Center, and I can show you all kinds of people who've been separated from their children. I can show you, or, go to Deerfield, go to Culpeper, go to Sing Sing, there's any number of prisons across America where I can show you tens of thousands, if not millions, of children who've been separated from their parents. So where's the outrage there? I mean,
Nothing.
Look, nobody likes to separate children from parents, but actions have consequences. I'm sorry. I mean,
if you break
life's not fair, and bad things happen. So if you want to put this on a rational level, have the discussion on a rational level, say, so what do we do? But the point is not to have a discussion on a rational level. It's to appeal to emotions and seize power. Use this as a ticket to get political power. What frightens me is once they get the political power, they actually have talked themselves into believing this. And as we've been saying, the left, the hard left, actually does want to see borders abolished.
And they just want to start it in the United States so we can have the crisis that they're having right now with migrants in Germany and France and all across Europe, which is becoming a disaster for them. The Danes the other day passed a law for migrants, and they said, what history shows, if you don't assimilate into the country, you have no country. So they passed a law, and the law is basically, if starting at the age of 1, you have to be, as a foreigner, you have to be indoctrinated into Danish culture. And if you refuse to do that and you're on welfare or any government program whatsoever, you don't get a check. I mean, they figured it out, right? They got all these migrants in, and they're not assimilating within their society, and they look at history. Every society, Curtis, and I don't want to get big picture thing, but every society in history that's collapsed, if you look through history, every one of them, it's because other cultures came in and nobody assimilated, and then it all blew up. Right? That's every society in the history of the world that collapsed. That was the reason. All right, look, I want to get to...
Yeah, and you have to go back to bilingual education in America. It's you look at the voting. I don't know what it's like in Washington D.C., but I know here in New York City and up in Boston, the official government communications are now in like 50 languages. I mean, you've got not just English and Spanish. You've got English, Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, Russian, Turkish, Urdu. I mean, where does it end? Where does it end?
It's an
but we're supposed to be ashamed of our culture. See, this is the odd thing about multiculturalism. We're supposed to embrace all cultures, but America can't have a culture. America, we're supposed to be ashamed of American culture.
Exactly.
At the same time, that's it. We love all these other cultures.
Well,
and people are supposed to be proud of their cultures unless you're American, and then you can't have a culture.
It's like President Obama said, his goal was to transform America. I mean, that's what he wanted to do. Curtis, I got 6 minutes. I want to get the column that you wrote the other day, which I put out, which is fabulous. It's called "The Silent Trump Supporter Has Gone Global, and So Has the Red Hen." Would you elaborate, please?
Yes. Look, we heard in 2016, and we know that there are all kinds of voters, the silent Trump supporter, people who would not tell pollsters that they supported Trump. Now, in 2018, the silent Trump supporter has gone global. Because what we're seeing now is you see heads of state, you see all these people, Justin Trudeau and, Angela Merkel and everywhere, they ritually denounce Donald Trump to the public, right? We hate Trump, he's horrible, he's awful, this is, his agenda is absolutely just terrible, what he's doing with trade and borders and everything else. But when you look at what they're doing, not what they're saying, they're actually supporting Trump. Merkel just had to close the borders in Germany, and she wants to push out half of those immigrants that came, send them back to other countries. You've got Trudeau the Canadian government is now putting safeguards in place to stop a flood of imported steel and aluminum from other countries. The European Union met with Chinese vice premier the other day. Top line in the story was, this is all, we're going to take efforts to resist protectionism, right? I mean, this is sort of boilerplate language, they all say, ritual denunciation. But they then acknowledge that the World Trade Organization needs to be reformed. The European companies are not being treated fairly in China. Foreign investment in China is limited, restricted, even as the Chinese are able to invest in Europe any way they want. They're concerned about, the European Union is concerned about Chinese theft of trade secrets. I mean, just go through the whole list of everything Donald Trump has been talking about, and you see every country on earth is actually saying they've heard the wake-up call, and they're saying, yeah, we've got to do something about this, but they'll never tell you that. And the media will never report it. I mean, all of these facts were in the same Bloomberg story that said China and the European Union ritually denouncing protectionism, a rebuke of the United States. And then 11 paragraphs down, they say the European Union is concerned about Chinese overcapacity in steel, theft of intellectual property, concern about restrictions on European companies, foreign investment in crucial technologies and infrastructure by China and Europe, big concern, and the WTO has to be reformed. So it's to me, it seems like the story of the little red hen, and not Lexington restaurant with filthy canopies, according to Donald Trump, President Trump. The little red hen was that story about nobody wanted to do the hard work. The lazy dog and the sleepy cat and the noisy duck, they didn't want to help the little red hen when she had to plant the wheat, mill the flour, and bake the bread. But when it came time to eat the bread, oh, yeah, we'll be happy to help you eat the bread. Donald Trump has, as President Trump, has done the hard work. He told all the experts and the academics and the think tank experts, your policies haven't worked. It's been a disaster. We've got to do something new, something different. He had the guts to stand up to, the old conventional wisdom. And everybody ran for the hills, we can't have this. This is horrible. But now that he's shown a way forward to correct all the trade imbalance, the employment opportunity imbalance, the investment imbalance in the world, now they're all coming around. So They want to eat the bread he baked, but they didn't want to be there to help bake it.
Exactly. And look, you know what? When you get to the tariff situation and you hear these countries whine, like Justin Trudeau, the man-child, whining about this, and they've been screwing the U.S. forever. They've just gotten away with it. And so what the president has said is, look, you don't want tariffs? Fine. Then everybody take all of them off, and I'm good. And nobody will do that, right? Because they want what they want. And they have gotten away with this, Curtis, for so long. They've screwed the U.S. worker because our country has just looked the other way in order to have bilateral good relations or whatever it is that the State Department has been saying that gibberish they do. Whatever it is that they want, the American worker has been kicked to the curb by government after government, administration after administration, at the hands of other countries taking advantage of us. And this is the first president who stood up and said he's had enough. And you look at the economic indicators and this economy, which is just exploding like crazy. It's just hard to argue with him. I mean, he's getting tremendous results. There's rhetoric, Curtis, Ellis, and then there's results. And this president is getting economic results that are off the charts. That's why he's going to win again, only bigger.
He has to win again, and we have to win in November. I mean, these elections are so important because, as we started out this half hour here, the crazies have taken over the Democratic Party. I mean, they may be exploiting, pulling on our heartstrings to gain votes and to gain the House, but once they get it, it's Katie barred the door. They're not going back.
Well,
this is the way it always has. You had the revolution in Russia. The Democrats took over. The Mensheviks. They were Democratic. They weren't the crazy communists. But once the liberal Democratic forces took over and overthrew the czar, it didn't take 6 months before the crazy
All right, man, we got to go.
Took it.
We got to go. Curtis Ellis, you can read him. Just go on my website, johnfredericksradio.com. Thanks for being with us.